Howdy there. I am known as Mr. Votiga, and I love this game. This game, City Heroes, and of course the related City of Villains and the Renegade one, are all amazing. I played these for years, and I was ecstatic that I was able to jump in and play these games again. And it's just such a crazy nostalgia fest for me. Um, but one thing I noticed is when I was looking around for information out there, there wasn't really a whole lot of helpful information. Not like the kind of helpful videos that you might see for some of the AAA games, let's say. So I figured that I would put together a video for basic supergroup base building. Just a few things that maybe people don't know about, that are new to this, or maybe have forgotten about, or were never a part of back when the game was originally live. But just some things that are really going to help out your play experience and give you a lot of options. And if you want to, moving forward, you can always apply this to a larger supergroup base design. And I just want to go over the basics in this video, hopefully keep it pretty brief. But if this is something that people like or are interested in, I'll definitely go into some more tricks and tips and directions for supergroup base building. Pretty much ever since super groups and super bases were released, I was tasked by my super group with designing the thing. I guess I have a head for it. I really like building and moving things around and learning all the little tools and options, and there are a lot. You can get lost for hours just looking through all the stuff. And so I figured I'll show you some of these basics. So let's get in there. Doesn't really matter what character on these new homecoming servers. The experience of super groups and super bases is really opened up. I remember you used to have to collect a resource known as prestige, and each super group member would have to be in super group mode in order to help the entire supergroup earn this prestige, and that would lower your influence, which influences the currency you use for purchasing everything for you personally, whereas prestige was used specifically only for supergroup base building and the objects that you put in there. So they've opened that up. It is now completely free to start a supergroup. I think you used to have to get 10 signatures. I'm going to go through the process right here, and I should be able to just walk right in and start a supergroup of my own. Now, I am a little fuzzy on this part. There may be other places to start supergroups, but the one place that I do know for sure is in Atlas City for the heroes. For the villains, I'll try and have a follow-up maybe when I go into some of the more details of more complex base building. But Atlas Park, rather, is the place where you build your super group, and then I will show you where to find the portal. So here we are in Paragon City Hall and the Supergroup Registration. Wow, super easy. Oh, by the way, if you've never come in here or you haven't even looked around or anything, right outside this, which you can read the plaque, I believe. Nope, this plaque you cannot. However, there is a badge right there, and it's just real easy. Even when you're coming up for supergroup registration, there's a good chance that you will get it. Alright, I want to register a new supergroup. Thanks, buddy. Look at this. Supergroup name. We'll call ourselves Heels for reals. And then our motto is to top off every tank. And we'll work on all this other stuff. See, here's that Supergroup Prestige. Again, not an issue. They've completely, as far as I know, they've completely removed Prestige. You don't need Prestige to purchase anything. Therefore, there's no reason to enter Supergroup mode, although you certainly still can for role-playing purposes. But you don't need to be in Supergroup mode to do anything. So as you go through here, you can edit the names of the titles of the group. The leader being the one with the most, usually the founder. That would be me right here, starting this registration. And then you have the different ranks, and you can pick permissions for these ranks. I'm not really going to go into this because this video is going to be all about the base building and the basics. Just as a note, though, even though this is the registration that I am turning in the first time I'm talking to this guy, you can always come back later by going to the super thing on your chat tab and just going to settings, and boom, you can edit all these all the same. So if you want to change your message of the day, change permissions, change the colors, the symbol, whatever you want to do. But again, I am not worried about any of that. In fact, now that I've taken care of all that, I will leave. Let's see. So, once you have your supergroup, you do not need anyone else in it. You can use the supergroup any way you like, but if you just want to use it as your own personal universe bank storage area, where maybe you can invite your friends over every once in a while, feel free. Without the need of prestige, there is no need to have a super group necessarily. But I'm going to show that through the very basic designs of the base, you can use the base as a helpful utility in your leveling and game experience. So here we are. This is how your base will always start. You just get a real simple room. This teleporter right here, if you select it, it will send you right back out to the last portal, base portal that you entered. And you can find the base portals on nearly every city zone. You're looking for the big P on your map. I believe it's a green symbol. Let's take a look-see. Yep. That P right there, base portal, and of course once you mouse over it, it will say as such. Here we go. Going into our base, which you can always rename the rooms and stuff in your base. You can get really, really deep with all the flavor in this game. It's really amazing. But we are just going to show you some of the basics. So you only have this one room, and you really can't do, well, let's see. You really can't do too much in this base portal room until you start editing the base. If you want to expand all of the area that you have to build on, you would go to upgrade plot, and again, all of this used to cost prestige, but they've removed that completely, so it is all completely free. So you can choose any size plot. Now this is the plot. If you look right here, this is that base portal room that I just entered in. Here's the available space that the base starts with by default. And then by using the slide bar on the bottom, you can select any of these. And massive secure complex is truly large. Like, you can really put an amazing amount of things in a base this size, and I would encourage you to try it, to tackle that, to go for it. But really, for the basics, really simple, doesn't take long at all once you get comfortable and familiar with the process. Uh, just the basic default size will get you all the size you need. You really don't need to go any crazier. And of course, once you edit the base here, if you want to come back later and then upgrade the plot or edit anything else in the base, you are always free to do that as long as you are the leader of your super group. So let's go to the edit portion and show everyone what I'm talking about. So you go into this edit function, and essentially, if I use the mouse wheel here to zoom in, I am controlling my character. So, the same way that you turn left and right, that you strafe left and right, that you move forward and backwards, all of that applies the same way as when you're controlling your character. It just starts you super zoomed out because, of course, one of the first things that you're going to want to do in the base before you start getting really into the details is make a few rooms. So, in order to make the basics of the base, we're going to want to look at making teleporters for the base. We're going to want to look at making a res circle, so that if you ever die out in the world or in a door mission, you can actually res directly here in your base. Maybe collect things that you have in storage. Maybe craft something new. Maybe buy something from some vendors, and then get right back out there and continue crushing the bad guys. The next thing I'll show is the vendors. There are a handful of vendors that I think are essential, and there's a bunch of NPCs that don't do anything or just for flavor. I'm going to try and go over a few of those briefly. There are dozens and dozens, so easily could go into this for a long time. And then lastly, I'm going to just quickly show the crafting tables. I'm not going to get into the crafting at all. That is a whole other topic. But having a crafting table at your base is great, because if you can't find a crafting area in the overworld or in one of the city zones, you can always find a base portal, and your base portal brings you to your base. And if you have a crafting table, you can have all your salvage that you've stored here, and you can craft some stuff for your character. Alright, so let's get into the rooms. There are these 5 sort of mini tabs. Doorways are just if you want to connect the 2 rooms. Small, medium, large, and huge. Let's show you an example of the huge. Larger than the plot that I have. So yeah, we'll start with the small, because we really don't need too much more. And this is, let's say, 3 by 4. It's 3 of these little blocks by 4, and you can do the right click feature to rotate it. I want to try and take advantage of the space I got, so let's make a 4 by 4, and then no, that's not gonna work. This is embarrassing. Alright, let's instead move the teleporter room there so it connects it. And this will be a large room. We'll put some good stuff in there. Having, like, for the small space that we have, this is really, like, you can't fit too many more of these in here. In fact, I don't think you can fit any more. So we will resort to putting one of these in, and then we'll start with that, and maybe end out with something weird like that. Ta-da! Alright, so now let's get to making our base. Now that we have the rooms, you can go in and spend a truly intense amount of time affecting all of the details and designs of these layouts, room by room or all base at once. You can do lighting, flooring, paneling, high, low, mid ceilings, change the elevations. I'm and you can do some outdoor things as well. But let's see. Once we have a room, I generally use the mouse wheel or whatever camera zoom option you have to get a little closer so you can kind of get a more character perspective. And as you can see, I can click on any individual plot or piece of this room that I'm in or doorway, and it will say it right there. And there are options that you can do here, which we will go into later. But again, we are just setting this up for the basics. So first thing you want to do is you want to get your teleporters in there. Those are probably the most important things. Although you do need some power crystals to power all your stuff. So maybe we'll send a and generally it breaks things up between arcane or tech, so it really kind of depends on what your flavor is. There are a lot of inactive options, but really, if you just get like one of the first few options, it's as long as it's not inactive or destroyed, you're probably good. Like, look at that, that's just way too huge. Even this would just take up the whole hallway. So we're just gonna do basic generator, and it should be able to fit in the back there. Yeah, see. And once we have that, we will see we now have these green bars that gives us power and influence over the things that we build, and we will have to build quite a few things in order to start taking a dip into that. So for what we're doing, just one power option should be fine. So now that we are in the current room, we are looking for items. Oops. Let's do a tech teleport. Oops. And basic telepads are probably going to be your most space conscious items. Advanced telepads have 4 different options, but still only hold 10 hubs. That might not matter for you, but thematically it can look cooler if you want to spend more time doing that. But we will just have one little teleporter. Okay. And again, the right click rotates it for you. So if we want to have it like that, that seems fairly open. Excellent. I like that. Now, the next most important thing you have to do when setting up a teleporter is you have to continue to scroll on the bottom bar of your screen until you get to the beacons, and you can put a total of 10 beacons per thing. Look at this, yeah, 10 connections per teleporter. So and there's like almost 50 beacons. So, you know, if once you're ready to expand, you can certainly put way more in there. But for our purposes, all we really want is Atlas Park. So we'll select Atlas Park right there. And then that is now, when we select that, that yellow box will appear there. That means that the Atlas Park beacon is right next or connected to this teleporter, and if we select the beacon itself, it'll show what teleporter it's selected to. And again, these beacons are just beyond the telepads that you're looking for, and the arcane and the tech are the same. It's all just a total thematic choice. Although I do believe that the arcane does have some of the smaller portals. Tech does also have some of these small ones that you can use that are pretty interesting. You just put like a little thing that's just a hole in the world. But, you know, telepad's cool for us. So now let's go and put in a res circle. You will find this in the Tech Medical, which is right next to the teleport, actually. But if you're at the very beginning, it's oh yeah, by the way, there are these tiny little arrows here that will move you to the side of these mini tabs. I don't think I even got into that. So you start with power, then it goes to defense, which is a bit more advancing. I'll get into that. Then workshop, which I'll get into towards the end of the video, and then medical, which is what we're on right now. And most of these are going to be decorations, but the basic reclaimer is what we're looking for. And we'll just put the basic reclaimer right up here. That way, if you were to die overworld during a mission, you'll just pop back out right there, or right next to the teleport, so you can just hop right back to Atlas. Now let's go into some of the vendors and NPCs, and I think that how I want to do this is in this room. You can do it anywhere. I could do it in that teleport room if I wanted, but this will give me a little options later on to like kind of role play and design the base a bit more interestingly. So I'm going to use the right triangular piece to navigate along the sort of sub bars here, and as I'm going deeper, I'm going to be looking past all these, and there are quite a few until I get to NPCs. And then here you basically want to get one of every vendor that you ever would use in the game, and then you can just put some flavor ones if you want. The downside, I think, is that you can't really affect what these things look like. You can only ever show where they stand. So if you can see, that's kind of like a face, and as I rotate it, the face is now looking away, and now it's looking towards us again. So these first three here are going to be levelers, trainers, I guess, and on-the-spot costume changers, I guess, now. So here's the Arachnos one that villains use. Here's the Midnight one. That's the co-op between villains and heroes. And then here's the Vanguard one. And you don't get to change what these guys look like. However, if you pick up and move them, they do kind of change a little. Maybe not. Anyways. So then next we have the Hero Corpse Field Analysis. Not really an important NPC, but this one can help change your difficulty levels and how many enemies you fight. And then you're going to want to put in an icon employee. An icon employee is the tailor, and there's also a face maker if you want the villain looking one, which is kind of cool. And then it's just real simple. You're using the bottom bar here to like cycle through more of these options, and there's a lot, so make sure you're paying attention to the names of them because they all look the same on NPCs. But you want one of the quartermasters. You can choose any of the quartermasters. If you I'll show you what they actually offer when I get out of this editing, and they offer all the basic enhancements that all of the other vendors do. But we want a nurse as well, because a nurse is going to have inspirations for us as well as can purchase things if we want. And then pretty much from this point on, you're going to get just like a bunch of people just hanging out, which can be a lot of fun for designing and putting your base down, giving it some atmosphere and flavor. There's just people standing around and people on drums, people dancing, people on cell phones, and all of these NPCs are not going to do anything. The most important ones that you're going to want are going to be your levelers, your tailors, and your quartermasters. Although the guy that changes the difficulties can be useful if you have the right build to take advantage of that. But that's not what I'm getting into. Anyways, the final thing I want to drop in here for you to see is, and we'll just do this in here. We're gonna go back to the workshops because the crafting, I think, is a fun thing. You can craft a lot of the set pieces, which you can use to sell in the market or use for yourself. And again, the crafting is really intense and complex, but it's really rewarding as well. So I think it's important to have that infrastructure. So again, we'll go to tech because that's kind of our Healbots theme. And then all the way at the end, there's the merit rewards ATM, which can be useful to deposit your merit rewards, but an enhancement table will hold any enhancements that you've made, and then there's salvage racks. These will store extra salvage you have, because you can only hold so much on your person before you reach your maximum. Although each of these can only hold 100, so you're going to have to build multiples if you're going to be building lots of salvage. There is a personal storage vault and a inspiration that you can put down, but really what we want to make is the invention work table. There used to be a lot of other tables that did some pretty awesome things, but as far as I've seen, they've pretty much simplified a lot of it, and a lot of these don't do anything anymore. Like for example, these work tables don't do anything, but these like some of the other ones do. I don't know. It's I'll have to do some more looking into that myself. But the robotic fabricator is another kind of little vendor that you can put in there. But so anyways, this is your crafting table. And this, you can actually make some really interesting things, really useful. Maybe I'll go into later. So those are all the basics, and that, while I was talking to you and kind of showing you and dragging things out, it all still didn't take that long. And once you get more comfortable with the system, it's really easy. You can put this together for one of your brand new characters with 0 influence right away, and have everything you need that will help you as you're leveling up, and then build on it and expand as you go. So let's take a look at some of these things I made. When you're in the edit base feature, again, I was zoomed in so I could see the items, but you go down to options and you can just exit the base editor like that. And so here we go. We're going into our little teleporter room. If you see, I can come over here and click on my teleporter and go to Atlas Park now if I want. If I died, I could res right here at the reclaimer. I do have some salvage, so you can click on this, and right now it's empty because we just built it, but I can open up my salvage tab, which is right above your power trays over here on the wherever you keep your power trays, and then you have all your salvage here, and you can just drag and drop it, or you can click on it if you want to just individually do it, instead of dropping the whole pile. And then unfortunately these are not connected to your work table, so you can't do anything about that. Here's your enhancement table, which if you have any enhancements, you can just put in here for later. And with the supergroup permissions, you can change who can interact with these and who can drop things and who can take things, so that you can make it so no one is really taking advantage of your system. Oh yeah, I guess this guy does nothing. And this guy, I guess, is a little merit vendor, which is nice because it's nice having that in your base as well. I haven't really messed with the merits too much, but they are powerful. Alright, so at the workbench, it brings up this whole slew of recipes. Again, I'm not going to get into all this, but it is useful as you're leveling. And then finally, we can hang out with our NPCs that aren't doing anything, and again, it'll give them names, but you can't interact with them at all. And then here's our vendors. If I wanted to level up, I could talk to this person, and if I wanted to change my difficulty, I could talk to this person. If I wanted to go into face lift mode, I can talk to one of these two. And then this quartermaster will have all of the trainings, and then when you're high enough level, they do have the dual and single origin trainings as well, so those are good. And the nurse will have all of your base inspirations at least. So in my opinion, those are the basics of what you can do with a supergroup base in just a few minutes, 10-15 minutes maybe tops, without getting fancy, getting everything that you'd need to help you leveling with just a little bit of work. Thanks. If you liked the video, let me know, and I'll work on some other ones where I can show a few more advanced tips and tricks to really add some pizzazz and utility to your bases. Thanks. Bye.